Once upon a time, there was truth in journalism, where brave men and women gave voice to the voiceless. But then the corporations bought the journalist, poisoning the news that we are fed. With those tainted sources, all we ever ate was a steady diet of
I cannot even wait to get this party started today. Apologize that it looks a little bit glow in the dark today. I am in a new location and I could not fit my main lights in the vehicle while I was temporarily moving. I'm a bit of a nomad the next few months. But I figured a very poorly lit show was better than no show at all. So I will get my lights tomorrow. So we'll have a little better lit program. But until then, the light in my heart should be enough. The light in my heart for truth, justice, and sanity will be enough, I hope. I hope everyone's having a lovely, lovely day. Sorry that I cut off Carmen, our beautiful opera singer, who made the Status Coup anthem. But I'm ticked off. I'm ticked off, and I'm going to scream it from the rooftops. So, oh, I look like a hologram? Wonderful. Wonderful. Jordan looks like he's reporting from heaven. Well, if that could get us more paid members, then I will report from heaven and hell. I don't care what I got to do. So let's get right into it. Jordan is CGI. Hopefully you could hear me. I hope the audio is good at least. We got 250 people watching. I need every single one of you to press this like button, even though it's glow in the dark. Press that like button. It's the thumbs up right under the video. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see this live stream. We're very close to hitting 67,000 subscribers. We got a little bit of momentum here, so let's not lose it. Smash that like button. Smash that like button. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Jordan is reporting from Iran. Oh boy, I hope not. Also, if you are not on our text list, get with the program, please. Text 474747. Enter Coup, C-O-U-P, and you'll immediately be added to our text system. This is how we get around YouTube and their beep, because they don't notify you. They might notify you 20, 30% of the time when we're live. Our text system gets around that, so we text you, and it warms my heart every time I see somebody. Hey, Jordan, I didn't get a notification, but I saw your text, so I'm here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Follow us at Status Coup on the Twitter. We're also moving up there. I believe our story that we reported the other day about the DNC sending a senior advisor on air to trash those sexist, misogynist, horrible Bernie bros. I think that's, what is that, Jen? Over 1,000 retweets on the Twitter. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Go retweet it if you haven't. It's at the top of our Twitter page. We're live on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/statuscoup. And be so kind to join our email list. That's statuscoup.com. Enter your email, and when we send you an email, please click on it. That makes us happy when you click on the email too. So, let's get right to it. Listen, I had to make a decision today. Do I really want to continue beating this horse with Warren Bernie? Because I do think it's a bit of a distraction. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good for Warren at all. I think it's good for Bernie because he's raising a heck of a lot of money. And by the way, this is a super chat. I will curse like a sailor if you allow me to, but until then, I don't want to get demonetized. But if you super chat, well, you should super chat anyway if you like the show, and you want real reporting. But I'm not going to curse until you allow me to. So, but it is a super chat. And by the way, yesterday we crossed an amazing number. We are now at 804 Status Coup members. That's statuscoup.com/join. We have another month. We have another members only call coming up at the end of this month. We just had one. We're doing another one. We're also going to have some exclusive bonus content for you in the next week or two, just for our members. Sign up for a cup of coffee a month. That's $5 a month. You can become a member. You know the drill. statuscoup.com/join. Keep it going. So, I wasn't going to talk about this, but then the video heard round the world leaked. The video leaked. And, not my girlfriend's off to the side. Would you say Elizabeth Warren's an educated woman? Are you shaking your head yes or no?
I am shaking it.
So do you think that Elizabeth Warren, after a debate, walks up to Bernard Sanders with the microphone right there, the camera's still on, thinking like, oh, this is private, nobody will hear what we're talking about? You think that?
No, they could have gone to a wine cave if they wanted some intimacy.
That's right. So my girlfriend said, of course not. Of course not. Poopy cakes, €2. I vote for cursing. Oh no, that's £2. I vote for cursing. Lawrence Johnson, $5 in the super chat. Keep it up. I need a little bit more to get demonetized, so keep it coming. And by the way, we got 400 people watching. 235 of you have pressed that like button. Can I get 200 more of you? Press the thumbs up button right under the video. It makes a big, big difference. So, Elizabeth Warren, Harvard professor, big corporate lawyer, very, very smart, has a plan for everything. I'm pretty sure she's aware that when you walk up to a microphone and the camera is still on, it's kind of gonna get picked up. It's a wild guess. So I'm only gonna play this once. I'm sure you've seen it by now, but if you haven't, let's take a look.
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
What?
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
Let's not do it right now. You want to have that discussion, we'll have that
Anytime.
discussion. You called me, you told me. All right, let's not do it right now. You want to have that
TV.
what?
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
Let's not do it right now. You want to have that discussion, we'll have that
Anytime.
discussion. You called me, you told me. All right, let's not do it now.
I don't want to get in the middle of it. I just want to say hi, Bernie.
Yeah, good.
It's a treat to see
Okay.
Oh, God. Tom Steyer. Tom Steyer's kind of like, when you're trying to talk to the girl at the bar and her friend is, I won't use the phrase, but blocking you. Something comes before blocking you. He's kind of like that guy who just is in the way. Or girl. In the way. Thank you for the super chat. Richard Williams. Warren's Facebook is hilarious. I'm sorry, but I haven't liked her much since the Hillary endorsement, but this feels good to see people finally waking up to her. I've been awake. I haven't been giving Elizabeth Warren, roses and chocolate for the last 6 months. So, what I found really interesting, and listen, I'm a journalist. This is pure speculation. I don't have anything other than my brain telling me this. At the end of that, Bernie said, you told me, and then cut himself off. If you listen closely, he says, let's have that discussion elsewhere, and then says, you told me, and then stops himself. My thought is Bernie was about to say, you told me you had concerns about Trump's sexism and those kinds of things. That's what I thought Bernie was about to say, but then he stopped himself. Just my opinion. I had nothing to say other than that. But to me, this is the equivalent. Elizabeth Warren going up to Bernie Sanders after that debate, playing the victim, which she has played quite well for most of her political life, is the equivalent of an arsonist who just burned down your house, and you came blaming you, and you came to look at the ruins, then showing up and said, why didn't you turn the stove off? The arsonist burned down your house, and then they're blaming it on the homeowner. And frankly, this is why if Bernie Sanders loses this nomination, of course the Democrats are trying to screw him. Of course the DNC is trying to screw him. But if Bernie Sanders loses this nomination, it's because he didn't completely take the gloves off. Kudos to him for being classy. I would have not even approached her to shake her hand. She leaked a private conversation. That is a breach of ethics. It was a private conversation. She leaked it 2 weeks before the Iowa caucus because she's desperate. Nobody knows what was said, and now we're starting to see CNN, on one hand, report this as fact, but their own anchors saying, well, we don't know the context. We don't really know what was said. Then why'd you report it as fact? I'm going to show you these clips. It's truly unbelievable. If we had sane regulation in this country, CNN would have whatever licenses it has revoked. I'm not talking like Trump talks about fake news and this and that, because that's fascist talk. Trump doesn't care about real news or fake news. He just throws that out, anything bad about him, and that's what dictators do. So I'm not calling CNN fake news in the same way Trump is. I'm calling it propaganda. So Elizabeth Warren leaks this. She had no issue after the meeting, because the New York Times reported meeting was a snooze. Neither of them tried to talk the other out of anything. Tulsi Gabbard comes forward. Got my issues with her, but overall, she says, I talked to Bernie. I told him I was running. He was very encouraging. Bernie Sanders, during the debate, says, What do you mean? I said a woman can't win. I tried to get you to run. I thought you could beat Hillary Clinton in the primary in 2016. I mean, if you watch Harry Potter and the invisibility cloak, whatever they called it, this is identity politics on steroids. This is the identity politics cloak wrapped around. It's like Christmas lights. And these same tools on Twitter and Hillary Clinton's advisors and all these woke warriors. Sorry if I'm going to get myself in trouble. They barely said a thing when Joe Biden publicly said, well, Hillary was a victim of sexism, but I won't have an issue with that. No problem for me. I have a penis. Yeah. It's not going to be a problem that there's video of him saying he likes children rubbing his hairy legs. That's not going to be a problem. It's not going to be a problem that there's God knows how much video of him sniffing little children's hair. There literally is video of him touching a little black girl's shoulder and her recoiling. Not going to be a problem. Trump won't use any of that. Got 600 people watching. 345 of you have pressed that like button. Can I get another 300 people to press that like button? Hallelujah. I'm reporting glow in the dark today. So, it's just the faux wokeness of it all really irritates me. And the other part that really irritates me is the total, I'm sorry, Jen, fucking bullshit of these Hillary Clinton woke warriors and the unity police. Oh, Bernie's dividing. Don't divide us. Don't attack Pete. Don't report on Pete Buttigieg and him gentrifying South Bend. Don't report on Pete Buttigieg and him covering up the murder of black people by his police officers. Don't report on Pete Buttigieg demolishing 1,000 homes in 1,000 days in mostly poor and black neighborhoods, black and brown neighborhoods. Don't report on that. We need to be, you're helping Trump. You're weaponizing for Trump. Any, vote blue no matter who, blah, 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 blah. But when Elizabeth Warren attacks, in a lot of polls, the front runner. Fuck unity. Go after Bernie. Unity for the candidates that will continue the status quo. Rampage, take a machete, fuck unity for the candidates that won't. But the whole thing was bad enough. Obviously, if you missed this, I'll show you. At least somebody on CNN has some integrity. I mean, once in a blue moon, maybe she just made a mistake saying the honest truth. But Aaron Burnett told us what everybody knows. If you missed this, it's just unbelievable. Take a look.
Warren had no problem with this story yesterday. It was clearly leaked by her team to CNN. It came out more than a year after the meeting. It came out on the eve of a debate. This is pretty clear. She knew about this. She sanctioned it. Everything around it indicates that. Why is she pumping the brakes now, indicating don't want to talk about this anymore? We're all cool. saying the honest truth.
Richard, $20 in the super chat. Swear jar. God bless you, Richard. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep it coming in the super chat. Really appreciate it. Remember, as super as those chats are, what's even more super? Signing up as a Status Coup member. We just passed 800. We got to get to 1,000. Lickety split. Statuscoup.com/join. You are the media revolution. You are supporting real independent journalism. We really appreciate it. So, what's amazing about the whole thing? This has been pushed by CNN. Then forget Bernie for a second. Forget that you love Bernie. Forget whatever. I'm just talking straight up propaganda. Corporate media propaganda. This has been pushed. This was created by CNN. It's not a news story. It's literally innuendo and one-sided gossip from Elizabeth Warren's campaign to a news reporter, spun as fact, right? Then made into a made-for-TV moment on the debate to then be spun around for 3 more days. You literally have the President of the United States being impeached, and CNN hours this morning were beginning with this Bernie Warren thing. Right? So, as Erin Burnett just acknowledged, this was leaked. This is nonsense. Then you have this buffoon. Thank you, the Smith Elvis. 10 euros. Warren's a stalking horse for the DNC and now Biden. She's an enemy of the left and was a member of the Republican Party until she was 50, 47. Love your work, Jordan and Jen. Solidarity from Dublin, Ireland. You know, I've been meaning to go to Ireland. I really want to go. Can we eat, pray, love that shit? I want to go to Ireland. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate it. Status Coup, $5. Join Status Coup as a member at statuscoup.com/join for extra perks and content as low as $5 a month. That is a wonderful super chat. Thank you, Status Coup, for that enlightenment. I totally agree. So then you have, so it's reported as fact by CNN, but then CNN's own anchors are saying things like this.
Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders facing off in last night's debate at issue. A key question, whether Senator Sanders said a woman could not win the White House in 2020. Who's telling the truth?
Yeah.
Who's telling the truth? Who's telling the truth? We don't know. We just reported it. But who's telling the truth? I mean, I only took 2 journalism classes. Frankly, I think it was a lot of nonsense. It was all that, you know, they basically tell you to stay there as a straight jacket. Be a straight robot jacket. Don't say any, you know, just tell one side, tell that side, go take a nap, let the audience figure it out. I don't subscribe to that. I never have. But this would be a case study in what not to do in journalism. In journalism, you're supposed to build sources, yes. You're supposed to get as many sources as you can. You're supposed to get sources that are not just from one thing. If I have 4 sources from the corporate, if I have 4 sources that are all executives at Walmart saying Walmart doesn't abuse its workers, am I going to report? Sources say Walmart treats its workers really well. No, it's obviously one-sided. You would have to talk to all sides. I guarantee you, CNN did not talk to anyone in Bernie Sanders' campaign to find out what their side was. They just reported Elizabeth Warren's side. Thank you, Seth Peterson, always with these generous donations. Seth, I mean, I could only ask so many times. I emailed you back. I said, hey, when's a good time for us to get on the phone? I want to thank you sincerely for this amazing contributions you've been giving. Thank you, thank you, thank you. $85. In this time of outright propaganda, we need journalism like yours now more than ever. These establishment hacks will only get worse. Thanks, Status Coup. I couldn't agree with you more. And thank you so much. That's a really incredible amount you just donated. Thank you, thank you, thank you. TW Peers, $1.99, CNN Sex. I agree. 700 people watching, 500 of you have pressed that like button. Can I get 150 more of you? Excuse me, 200 more of you. Press the thumbs up button right under the live stream. So, we have a CNN anchor is saying this was leaked by the Warren campaign. Then you have a CNN anchor saying, who's telling the truth? Which is bonkers to me. You reported it as fact. You had a Hillary Clinton campaign advisor after the debate saying, remember, this isn't a he said, she said. This is a reported story by CNN. No, it's actually exactly a he and he said, she said. And then you have this ridiculousness. Look at Don Lemon and Fredo, Chris Cuomo, excuse me, last night.
Mom on the phone, was sitting there with Tim. You guys thought did really well. We were like, there were no major catfights except for the thing about, can a woman be president or not?
Well, that's just about the truth between Warren and Sanders. I don't disagree with you, Mom.
But you don't know the context of that conversation because and people are going to yell at me or whatever.
Me too.
Saying that a woman can't be president. Well, a woman isn't president right now.
A woman hasn't been president.
A woman has not been president.
A woman couldn't be.
But you don't know the context of the conversation.
100%. We don't know the context.
Yeah, right.
But I'll tell you what's interesting to see is people saying, we have no idea what was really said. Wait a minute.
Right. You don't.
You got a woman who's also a U.S. senator who's telling you what was said. Since when do we hear women saying what happened and we say, well, we can't believe it, it's just her?
No, I'm not saying
I'm saying a lot of people are arguing that, Don.
You don't know the context. Maybe he's saying a woman, maybe he's
Jill, $9.99 in the super chat. Thank you so much, Jill. Richard Williams, $5. CNN reports Seth is Jeff Bezos. I don't know who Seth is, but I do know who Jeff Bezos is. Thank you for the $5. Upper Adamos, $5. The Lizzie took the dirt and dropped her drive shaft. So let me get this straight. CNN's MJ Lee, who covers the Warren campaign, she travels and all she does is cover the Warren campaign. And since I've covered campaigns, I could tell you, basically, you just regurgitate what you're told by the advisors. And in order to get access, i.e. interviews with the candidate, you do their bidding and you don't challenge them. That's what these campaign reporters all over the country do. From ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC. They're all stooges. All of them. And I don't even blame them. They're paid to be stooges. They're not allowed to challenge anyone, and they will lose their access. And they will not get interviews with the candidates. So that's why we're not built on access. I could care less if we have access. So, I mean, we might have to break in or, chopper pilot into the DNC, but we're working on that. So, wait a minute. Your network reported this story 2.5 weeks before the Iowa caucus as a fact. Then your anchor says, well, the Warren campaign leaked it to us. Then another anchor says, who's telling the truth? Well, aren't you supposed to tell us the truth? You're a news network. Aren't your stories that you report? Obviously, network status quo. You can make a mistake. You can make a mistake and correct yourself. But you have to actually have altruistic motives in reporting the story in the first place. You could make an honest mistake. A source can burn you. You trusted the wrong source. It has happened to me. But why is the anchors then saying, who's telling the truth? If you don't know what was actually said, if you have to ask, who's telling the truth? Why did your network report explicitly Bernie Sanders said a woman cannot win? If you don't know what was said, if you don't know if Elizabeth Warren or her campaign are telling you the honest truth, if you don't know, well, we don't know the context, which is true, why did you report this garbage? And the answer is clear. It's not only to help. It's not only to hurt Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders' campaign, for the first time, I think, to me, way too late, but better late than never, was aggressively and effectively going after Joe Biden. David Sirota, Sanders' speechwriter, had put out a clip of Joe Biden 4 months after the Iraq War. Remember, Joe Biden? No, I didn't vote for the war thinking he was actually going to war. I just gave him the vote literally for authorization for military force. No, that wasn't for war. That was so he could send in weapons inspectors. If that were true, then he should be disqualified for being an idiot. If you actually believed you were voting yes for the authorization for military force, but it wasn't actually a vote for war, then you are a moron and you cannot be trusted with the nuclear codes or a military. But of course it wasn't true, because David Sirota tweeted out, I mean, we reported on it 2 weeks before then, but I digress. He was 4 months later saying George Bush is a very popular guy, and our president is a bold leader, and we need to finish this job in Iraq, and I'll support him, and I'll get others to support him. Joe Biden was a cheerleader for this from day one, even before, as The Intercept reported. In 1998, he was saying we need to send ground troops to Iraq. So Bernie Sanders' campaign was effectively going after Joe Biden on that. So much so that they had to send out John Kerry from the No Malarkey bus tour. John Kerry from the No Malarkey bus tour, twisting himself into a human pretzel. Well, no, Bernie's, you know, he's misrepresenting. It wasn't a vote for war. This is the same thing as, you know, I was against the war before I was, you know, before, what was it? I voted against the war before I voted for it. It's just unbelievable. So CNN basically did this, I think, to stop the attention on Biden, because the Biden campaign does not have any answer on policy. They don't. And frankly, I think CNN and Warren probably didn't even expect the result that we saw during the debate, but I thought Bernie was not as aggressive against Joe Biden, because I think Bernie, one of his faults, I guess is not a bad fault. He's a human. He's a good guy. I think he was so thrown off his game by Warren's bullshit, and I think he was truly hurt, that I think it kind of took him his laser focus off Biden, because he didn't go as aggressively as he needed to against Biden. So I think CNN did this not only to hurt Bernie, but to shield Biden. And then you see stuff like this, which, I mean, it's just so factually wrong, but they keep doing it anyway.
I also want to just note, part of the reason why Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by as much as 3 million votes is because Bernie Sanders campaigned on her behalf, traveling like crazy to campaign on her behalf. Why would he go out of his way to do that if he didn't believe a woman could win as president of the United States?
I think people would say that that's
sense.
a generous assessment of what he did on her
they
behalf.
would.
But look, again,
but they keep doing it anyway. Kudos to my former colleague for making the point, but I would have made this point. Let me get it. When they say, "Oh, well, you know, some people would disagree on how much Bernie did." You know, not to be a narcissist, but Jordan Sheridan tweeted this earlier. I mean, 2008, Hillary Clinton did 10 rallies on her own for Obama. 10 rallies on her own for Obama. They did 2 events together. Bernie, 2016, after finding out, by the way, that they shanked him, that Hillary Clinton's campaign with the DNC basically sabotaged his campaign, after Hillary Clinton and Hillary Clinton's campaign basically said, bend the knee, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, they didn't give him anything. Pick Tim Kaine as vice president? Are you kidding me? Bernie did 37 rallies around the country. 3 joint events. You want to know how I know? Because I was at 2 of those joint events. It hurt my stomach. And I covered 3 of Bernie's solo rallies for Hillary Clinton. 37 rallies. Can you name one other politician that did that many rallies for Hillary Clinton? I don't know any. Ben, $4.99. Thank you very much, Ben. Tiny Puppies rule, $5. CNN just settled the largest union lawsuit in 84 years, $76 million. Bernie congratulated workers, hence the CNN payback with the help of lying Liz. That's actually a good point. I'm going to look into that. Thank you for bringing that up. So they just push this nonsense and propaganda. And to tell you the truth, I don't really think it's going to hurt Bernie Sanders, because I don't really think the CNN viewer is really that open to Bernie Sanders because of years and years and years of the propaganda like what CNN is feeding them now. I think Bernie's best chance to win is picking up as many young voters as he can, first-time voters, and a lot of those voters who maybe voted in the past but have stopped voting because they're too cynical and know the whole thing is a sham, the electoral system and this government. That's who his campaign is reaching, and that's why you're seeing him surge in a lot of the polls. So, what now? What now? You got 2 weeks before the caucus. Elizabeth Warren has basically shown, if you're a progressive, she's willing to stab you in the front, not just the back. She'll stab you in the front. I'm not so convinced there's not another trick up Liz Warren's bag of tricks. I think you'll probably see Biden start coming out. They got their research on things Bernie Sanders has said about, Fidel Castro, positive things he's said about the Nicaraguan people back in the 80s, positive things he said about the Soviet Union. I guarantee you that's coming out. They're going to dust it off. Oh, a new clip emerges. It's not a question of what is going to come out, because that's exactly what's going to come out. It's just a question of which reporters and which networks they plant it with. Are they going to plant it with Politico, or are they going to plant it with CNN? I guarantee you, today's the 16th, Iowa's the 3rd. Probably by Monday or Tuesday of next week, before impeachment, before the trial starts, you'll start seeing stuff about Bernie and things he said about the communists, or Soviet Union, or Fidel Castro. Guarantee you. So what now? Well, if you look at progressive groups, they want a detente. Left launches bid to unify Bernie and Warren's camps. Alarmed by the burgeoning feud between Bernie and Elizabeth Warren, a coalition of progressive groups moved Thursday to de-escalate tensions between the two candidates' supporters, encouraging them to instead rally against moderate Democrats. Launching what they called a Progressive Unite 2020 campaign, the Political Action Committee, Democracy for America, and 17 other groups pledged to focus our fight for the nomination against candidates supported by the corporate wing instead of fighting each other. The effort reflects the desperation of so many progressive Democrats to move past the sparring that has erupted in recent days between Sanders and Warren. That evening, CNN released blah, 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 blah. So, fearful of splintering the progressive vote, leaders of progressive groups have been talking about unity within the movement since last year. But recent tensions between Warren and Sanders elevated their sense of urgency. The pledge Thursday includes groups that are supporting Sanders or Warren or both, or who have not yet endorsed any candidate. Among its ranks are Democracy for America, Our Revolution, Justice Democrats, Sunrise Movement, and the Working Families Party. Blah, 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 blah. So, here's what I think. I don't think Elizabeth Warren's base are progressive voters. This is not about Elizabeth Warren. I'm just talking about the actual data. I don't think they say unite the progressive vote. But Elizabeth Warren's voters by the data are more Hillary Clinton voters. They're highly educated and higher income folk. I've said it, I'll say it again. I'm not against people with master's degrees. I'm not against people with higher incomes. A lot of those people support Bernie. It's not an either or, but the corporate media has played it basically from the beginning that Bernie and Warren have similar voters. They really don't. They really don't. Warren is 25 points higher than Bernie among highly educated and higher income. She is double digits worse among working class voters making $50,000 or less and with only high school degrees. Guess what? That's the majority of the country. Only high school degrees. Guess what? That's how Trump won the presidency. Only high school degrees, $50,000 or less. So I don't really think like, what are they going to get a few cameras and show Elizabeth Warren and Bernie having a salad together and laughing? Is that going to unite? If I'm Bernie Sanders, I'm done with it. I'm not mentioning Elizabeth Warren's name again. I'm moving on. I'm acting like the last 3 days didn't happen, and I'm having my campaign. And as much as he personally can, which is going to be difficult because he's going to be parked in Washington, D.C. starting Tuesday for this impeachment hearing, which I'm not going to cover today, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. I'm just focusing on Joe Biden. That's the only thing I'm focusing on. Elizabeth Warren stabbed me in the front. She stabbed me in the back. She stabbed me in the side. I don't even know who that is. That's what I would do if I was Bernie Sanders' campaign. I truly think, based on the fundraising numbers he just got, based on the fact that he got $4 million during this in 48 hours from 200,000 donors, but 25,000 new donors. Just my speculation, I'm going to guess some of that 25,000 new donors are people who liked Warren and might not be so happy about this. And, you know, Jen made a great point. She was fighting on Twitter with some faux woke feminist. Thank you, Salt Fake News, $4.99 in the super chat. They're ushering in the believe all women meme. Warren says, did you call me a liar? There's lingering Kavanaugh outrage to capitalize on. William Emerson, $10. Be very interested to see how many rallies Hillary Clinton held for Obama. Was that before or after she insinuated he might be assassinated? Jesus. I told you. She did 10 rallies. Just the two of them. 10 rallies together. And she did 2 on her own. Excuse me, no. She did 10 rallies alone, on her own, for Obama, and 2 together. Bernie Sanders did 37 on his own for Hillary Clinton, and 3 together. Chet's Mom 4, $20 in the super chat. Progressive unity is because they fear we won't vote for the DNC's planned Biden-Warren ticket. Bow our heads and fall in line. No, it's progressive unity when it's for the establishment caviar and champagne candidate. That's who you're supposed to unify for. When it's Bernie Sanders, who by the polls is outperforming Biden in Iowa, New Hampshire, and in some polls, Nevada, to hell with unity. Clobber him over the head. Take a 2x4. Thank you, TWPRZ. Nice haircut, $1.99. Thank you. I'm enjoying the haircut. So, Elizabeth Warren, I think, has lit her political career on fire. It wouldn't surprise me if she's primaried from the left, from a credible candidate next go around in the Senate, if she stays in the Senate. She's certainly, her only chances if Biden becomes nominee and they have some wink and a nod deal for her to be vice president, she's not getting appointed dog catcher in the Sanders administration. And if he does appoint her, if Bernie wins, I will riot. So that's what I think. What now? Bernie needs to lose Elizabeth Warren from his vocabulary. I would like, because I think Bernie Sanders, God bless him, is slightly naive about people and slightly naive about politics. I hope his wonderful wife, Jane, is, if Bernie's instincts is to have a conversation with Elizabeth Warren, I hope Jane is saying, no, there's no more Elizabeth at our dinner table. And I hope nobody takes this the wrong way. Bernie, don't be in a room alone with Elizabeth Warren. Make sure there are other people there so that nothing gets mischaracterized. And, you know, Jen made a great point arguing with Jen. I don't know who, I don't remember the name of this person. She's got a big following. But this person was starting with the believe woman. Aren't we supposed to believe women? First of all, as somebody who's been smeared personally, you know, I'm a supporter of Me Too when there's actually a legitimate case. But I'm also not a supporter of suspending any critical thinking. I'm not a supporter of suspending any need for facts. I don't just believe anybody. I think this whole believe women thing, yes, I am in. And by the way, they are projecting, okay? They're projecting debates and facts regarding sexual assault and sexual harassment. That's what believe women, that phrase started. They're projecting that onto whether you believe Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders in a private conversation. I'm not a woman, but I don't really think that is what Believe Women is extended to. I think it's for a very serious topic, which is men perpetrating violence on women or men perpetrating violence on men, or it's not, there's different cases. But Jen just said it right. That's weaponizing me too. And Jen said to her, no, I think it's inappropriate to take that, which is in the context of heinous acts of violence against women, to basically be like, who do you believe, Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders, from a private conversation? Here's the thing. I'm inclined to believe Bernie based on the track record, or as Jimmy Dore said, I would never not believe a Native American. I'm sorry, I had to. But I don't, the truth is, I don't know. That's the truth. And woke, faux feminists, you believe women. Well, how about this? I don't know what to believe because I wasn't in the room. Neither were you. That's a cross-gender position. I said it's very likely Bernie Sanders said to her, "Are you prepared for the sexist onslaught that Trump would throw at you?" And she took that as, he's Bernie. Here's Bernie saying I can't win because I have a vagina. So I'm telling you, get prepared. It's Thursday. Media doesn't have anything to talk about until Tuesday. Maybe more stuff is going to come out with Trump and Ukraine. But until then, I think Joe Biden and his people, and by the way, Joe Biden's people are Hillary people, are Obama people, and Elizabeth Warren. Jen's working on a story about it. She has really stuffed her campaign with a lot of old Hillary Clinton people. A lot of Hillary Clinton people on the Elizabeth Warren spaceship. And I would venture to guess whether, I don't know if it was Elizabeth Warren's idea originally to do this, but I'm pretty sure Hillary Clinton's people that are in Elizabeth Warren's campaign and in her ear were probably the brilliant ones. Say, hey, let's go after him for being a Bernie bro, because that worked so well in 2016 when we lost to an orange doofus. Why you surround yourself with the people that lost to an orange orangutan game show host? And somebody said to me on Twitter last night, well, Bernie, if she and her campaign advisors are such losers because they lost to Trump, doesn't that make Bernie an even bigger loser because he lost to them? Well, first of all the polls said that Bernie had a wider lead head-to-head over Trump than Hillary Clinton had over Trump. Secondly, Bernie, there's not a black person in South Carolina who knew who the hell Bernie Sanders was. Same for Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama. The deck was stacked against him because nobody knew who he was. And Hillary Clinton was well known, her and Bill Clinton, in the black community. It's a modern miracle that Bernie Sanders even got 22 states. I think he got more than that, but that's another story. So that's the deal. I'll keep watching CNN so you don't have to. I'll keep, clipping and tweeting. Ooh, what happened? What happened to my screen? Woo! That was weird. Did Russia hack me?
You said nothing was in the news until Tuesday. What about Richmond?
Oh, yeah, there is something in the news. You want a little behind the scenes? There is a big gun nut rally. There's a big gun nut rally in Richmond, Virginia on Monday, Martin Luther King Day. It's all of the militias, all of these NRA, Second Amendment, gun nuts, and they're coming to the capital of Virginia, even though the governor, Mr. Blackface himself, Ralph Northam, has banned the protesters from coming. They're coming, and I have sources saying there's a lot of chatter right now about serious violence. there's very few things that I myself would not go cover. You know, there's calculated risks, and then there's just knowingly going somewhere where you might get killed. So, like, to me, Standing Rock and protests like that and things like that, that's a calculated risk if you're a journalist. You know, you can get hurt. Of course, there's a chance of worse violence, but, like, you take your chances. But when you know, over 100,000 people possibly are going somewhere carrying bazooka guns, and they're not even allowed to be there, and the protest has been banned, but they're coming anyway, and there's militias saying we're gonna, revive the Civil War on Monday. I don't think it's so sane to go if you're a journalist. But Jen, our wonderful co-founder of Status Coup, apparently is a braver woman than me. She plans on going to cover it. I told her not to. I told her there's gonna be a lot of crazy people there, Jen. And to me, it's gonna it might make Charlottesville look like child's play. But Jen apparently has, I was about to say something, but it's inappropriate. Jen has a bigger bravery than I. So that's happening. So the last thing I'll say, you know what? I want to do one more topic, actually. I want to do one more topic. Because as CNN, and by the way, folks, we're at 804 Status Coup members. We got 830 people watching right now. If you don't know, we are grassroots. We could only grow through you, the viewers. If you got an extra $5 to $10 a month, sign up, statuscoup.com/join. Look at our videos. We got Marcus in Iowa hitting the ground every day, interviewing Bernie supporters, challenging Biden supporters. We got some stuff coming up on Pete. He's going to be Marcus is going to be bird dogging. I don't know. Hopefully Biden, Pete, Amy, and I'm going to be hitting the road soon. Possibly in Iowa, definitely in New Hampshire. But we need to grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. Help us add to the map. This is where we've been in a year and a half. We want to go to many more places, to your communities. And by the way, exciting news. Jen and I just had a conversation today with some website people. We are completely redoing our website, and it is going to be done with people who actually know what they're doing. I don't want to give any timelines, but we're thinking it'll be done in 3 weeks to a month. So we'll see what happens. But we're going to have a wonderful state-of-the-art website, and we're going to make it a Coup-munity. A Coup-munity. Jordan, call me so I can explain. I'm adamant about going. Oh, boy. Hold on. Jen, my phone is lighting me right now, but okay.
Hello.
Speak words.
What?
You're live.
Oh, okay. So I just wanted to explain why I'm going and why I'm so adamant about going. And I want to make it very clear that Jordan is extremely against me going. Not because I saw someone joking like, oh, it's because she's a woman. No, that's clearly not the case. I actually sent this link to Jordan the other day, and then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, no, Jordan definitely can't go to this because he's Jewish. And this is basically a congregation of people.
I'm actually a practicing Buddhist, but go ahead.
Oh my God. You're going to wear the red bracelet for, what is that, Kabbalah? I started to get worried about Jordan possibly going, but Jordan couldn't go anyway. And the more I thought about it, the more it was like, why am I in journalism? It's to expose the wrong doings in the world. I don't want to just do fluff pieces or whatever. I want to show what's going on Jordan and I keep our eye on the dangerous things like the Flint water crisis, the pipelines going through, the police brutality, all these terrible things going on around the world. So when the news came out about the state of emergency being declared in Richmond because of this congregation of insane gun people, I started to read more about it. I started to become more convinced that I should go, because I truly think that I'm one of a small demographic that will most likely be okay going. I'm not black, I'm not brown, I'm not Jewish, I'm a woman, and honestly a lot of these crazy gun nuts are anti-violence against women because they're very patriarchal. So I started to feel like my privilege, I need to take stock of my privilege in this world, and my privilege allows me to go and probably be one of the safest demographics to go.
With all due respect, that didn't work out for Heather Heyer in Charlottesville.
Of course. So obviously there are risks and there are scary possibilities. I'm going to be really, really safe. But I also, and I texted this to Jordan earlier when he was trying to convince me not to go. It's like, you hear growing up, what would you have done with the rise of the Nazis? What would you have done with the rise of these terrible, terrible groups? And I always thought, I would never just be one of those people who did nothing. I would do something. So it's easy to just hide in a closet or do nothing, or just focus on stories as a journalist that are safe. But for me, with this white privilege that I have, with this privilege of, not being a minority or a targeted person, I really feel like I need to cover this, because the rise of neo-Nazis and the alt-right and white supremacists is real. And it's really, really important to me to cover it and to shine a light on it. And I'm going to be super, super safe about it, but I can't do nothing. So
I respect everything. I respect everything you said. My feeling is, and how I've always looked about going into dicey situations, and a lot of protests I've gone to, people have had guns and things like that. I think it's different when people's outward pre-event talk is about reigniting the Civil War at the Capitol and shooting anybody that gets in our way. The FBI arrested, I think, three people.
Yeah, of course.
But you're not, it's a little bit different. Like, forget being a journalist or whatever. Like, you can't really do. You have to also weigh the risks of, you can't do journalism if you're dead. So to me, it's not about like who's more brave, who's more not. It's just about, do you go face into a situation where these people aren't exactly with a stacked deck. So it's not only about whether you're black, whether you're Jewish, whether you're a woman, whether you're what. If they see someone holding a camera in front of them, they might not like it. So
you're going to be wearing GoPros to record everything.
Yeah. So that's
right.
just.
So, this isn't the first time I've reported on white supremacists or violent groups. And I understand this is significantly more risk, but I really, I can't not do this. And
I'm telling you, Jen. I'm reading the chat. More people are with me.
You're on the record. I get it.
More people are with me. But just so Elizabeth Warren does not twist my words. I never said anything about being a woman, and I said to you that I would have the same conversation with Marcus that I'm having with you. I told you got 2 kids, be smart. Marcus has 3. There's taking calculated risks. Going to places like Standing Rock or Ferguson or the Middle East.
Right. Okay. So let me say this: bringing up my kids. Part of the reason I'm doing this is because of my kids. This is not the world that they can live in. You're gonna have kids someday. You and Anat are gonna have kids. I hope. I want to be an auntie, but this world is not okay. The rise of the neo-Nazis, the rise of these white supremacists, it's not okay. I'm not going to stand by it. I'm not going to not report on it and help put a spotlight on what's going on. That is why I'm doing it. So, yeah, I'm a mother of 2 children. They are my life. But to use that as a reason that I shouldn't report on something, I'm going to take a stand against that.
And Jen, just so I know, should people become a member before you go to get bonus content that other members wouldn't? In the event that you make it out alive, should people sign up?
Support my murder by going to statuscoup.com/join. Obviously, I'm kidding. I do have a dark sense of humor because you have to in this crazy world. But definitely become a member. I'm going to be posting behind-the-scenes content, behind-the-scenes thoughts. You know, I might be running behind a building or something and doing a quick video diary about what's going on or something like that. So I plan to be posting kind of in real time just for members. So again, this is in Richmond, Virginia on Monday. And I don't know exactly how it'll shake out. I'm going to be super safe, but I think it's very important, and it would really, really help support this reporting, the other reporting we do. If you go to statuscoup.com/join, it's just $5 a month. So if that's in your budget, please join right now.
Last question. I saw one person asked, how big is your penis?
It's ginormous.
It was somebody else. I didn't make that up. Just reporting what they say.
Sure.
You got big courage there. Jen Dyes, co-founder, Status Coup. Be safe. And I'll talk to you after this.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, real quick, last thing I want to talk about today, and thank you, Jen, for calling in. Hasn't gotten a lot of attention, because CNN's been too busy with, the fake Bernie sexist story and impeachment and all these things. The new NAFTA was signed today, and hint, hint, it's just as bad as the old NAFTA. This is what elected Donald Trump. Don't let them fool you. I know people that think the Russians elected Donald Trump. I know people that think James Comey elected Donald Trump. As somebody who was there, I could tell you, Donald Trump, he had them at NAFTA. He had them at NAFTA. But Donald Trump is also an expert bullshit artist. He is an expert at making pixie dust into gold. And this new NAFTA, if you've actually looked into what it is maybe on the margins slightly better. But it is literally the continuation of outsourcing jobs to other countries, the protections in there to, quote unquote, give Mexican workers and Chinese workers, higher wages, thus not enticing American companies to go there, are, in my view, toothless. I mean, I'll read to you just a little bit. This was signed today, overwhelmingly voted for in the Senate. Elizabeth Warren voted for it. Bernie voted against it. So this new NAFTA, called USMCA, the U.S. International Trade Commission released its assessment of USMCA's economic impact. Overall, they foresee a minor positive impact, a GDP increase of 0.35% over 6 years, along with 176,000 additional jobs in the domestic economy, including 28,000 in the U.S. automotive and parts sectors. One aspect of the ITC's estimate focuses on labor rules that could increase Mexico union wages by 17%, assuming that these provisions are enforced. Oh, isn't that interesting? Assuming that these provisions are enforced. Well, guess where else that there was assumptions that regulation and provisions would be enforced? The regulatory bodies that oversee banks, the regulatory bodies that oversee insurance, the regulatory bodies that oversee home loans. How good a job did they do overseeing the global financial crash and what led to the crash? You could have regulatory bodies and you could have provisions, but if they are toothless, if the regulators aren't allowed to regulate, which is regulation in this country, that Elizabeth Warren, I agree with her on that. We need to totally revamp regulations in this country. I disagree with her. She thinks that's basically the only thing that's needed. It's not. You can't regulate your way out of a broken bribery system. But All of this is under the assumptions of these quote-unquote provisions that will be followed. One aspect of ITC's estimate focuses on labor rules that could increase Mexican union wages by 17%, assuming that these provisions are enforced. That's a major if, but it holds the promise of real, honest enforcement of labor provisions for Mexico's factory workers. Only 14.5% of Mexico's labor force is unionized, and many belong to weak company unions. The AFL-CIO, other labor unions, and members of Congress are now demanding that enforcement tools be included in the deal to ensure actual progress. Note that such increases in Mexican wages might only happen after struggles that take longer than the 6-year time frame of the ITC assessment. Oh, great. So maybe the Mexican workers will get higher wages in 6 years. Because that's the only way. The only way to stop U.S. companies from offshoring is to ensure that workers in these other countries are paid living wages. Some of the most noteworthy changes in the USMCA involve stronger rules of origin for motor vehicle content, plus requirements that 40 to 45% of the labor involved earns at least $16 per hour. Companies not meeting these requirements would face a tariff on exports to the U.S., but as the Center of Automotive Research notes, the tariffs amount to a mere 2.5%. Companies could simply ignore these wage and content requirements and instead pay the minor tariff. Duh! This is the same exact principle as fining the fossil fuckers. You're gonna deploy a tariff? Well, what does it matter if you deploy a tariff on these companies if they only have to pay workers in a Mexican auto plant $2 an hour? They'll gladly pay the tariff because they're still way ahead than paying the auto worker in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Illinois. I mean, it's ridiculous. There is no provisions here that are going to stop the mass offshoring of jobs out of America. Elizabeth Warren supports this. Amy Klobuchar supports this. Biden can't vote on it, but he supports it. Which candidate would have the best chance to make the case to Trump supporters, you've been duped? The one who doesn't support it. You think Energy Transfer Partners, you think ExxonMobil, you think they get fined, okay, they're going to fine them $2 billion? That's milk money compared to what they make on these pipelines, on mining. Milk money. But honestly, the worst, I mean, obviously the offshoring of jobs is critical and it's terrible. But to me, I mean, with Australia up in flames, the Everglades are burning. New status quo member, welcome to the party. Joan, we just got a new member. We are now at 805 status quo members. Can I get a few more before the end of the show? statusquo.com/join. Become a member for as low as $5 a month. What's the worst part of this? Where did that go? Oh no, did I lose it? Here we go. The Food and Water Action Executive Director said in response to this, "Don't let the Trump administration trick you. The USMCA is nothing more than a NAFTA 2.0, and it spells disaster for food safety, air and water quality, and climate change in America. The proposed agreement doesn't even mention, let alone do anything to stop, the worsening effects of our climate crisis. In fact, it actually encourages the construction of more harmful pipelines and dirty energy exports that would further expand fracking in the United States and Mexico. The same fracking that Amy Klobuchar, literally on a debate stage." Honestly, she's either a greedy person who doesn't care about the planet burning to the ground, or she's a stupid person. She actually said, well, natural gas is a clean energy alternative. It's a good transition fuel. It produces less methane. You're a United States Senator. Google it. Methane is fracking. Fracking and these natural gas pipelines emit more methane than carbon dioxide. It is, and methane is worse than carbon dioxide for climate crisis, climate change. It's not just the actual pipelines, it's the compressor stations that make the pipeline goes. She says, this is a talking point that the Democrats and Republicans used 15 years ago, when a few lonely little cubs in the wilderness, like Josh Fox and Bill McKibben, were saying, this is not natural and this isn't clean. It's not a transition fuel. It's a death sentence, fracking and natural gas. In fact, it actually encourages the construction of more harmful pipelines and dirty energy exports that would further expand fracking in the U.S. and Mexico. It also drastically undercuts food safety protections with rollbacks on country of origin labeling requirements. At the same time, it hits consumers with a double whammy by simultaneously forcing Mexico to allow chemical giants like Monsanto and Dow to hide visual data about pesticide usage. USMCA is not a trade deal. It is an attack on public health and climate. Congress must reject USMCA, or we'll be looking at a future of irreversible environmental disaster and unsafe food, water, and air with no end in sight. Or, as Elizabeth Warren put it, it's a modest improvement. A modest improvement. A trade deal that doesn't mention the words climate change. Thank you, Anzu Mazak, $1.99. Donate, join, or help us spread the word for Jen. I agree. And by the way, Bernie Sanders was right during the debate when he said it's a modest improvement, but trade deals don't come around very often. So this is going to set us back years. If there's a God, Bernie will win the presidency, but it doesn't just take 5 minutes to create a new trade deal. It doesn't take 5 minutes to create a trade deal that's action by actual workers and environmental groups rather than multi-billion-dollar corporate conglomerates. And there's only one candidate in the Democratic primary. There is only one candidate in the Democratic primary right now that will be able to make the case to Trump's voters, to people in the critical states that just elected Trump: Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. There's only one. Bernie Sanders. How is Joe Biden or Amy Klobuchar or Pete Buttigieg or Elizabeth Warren going to make the case against Trump in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Ohio and Pennsylvania if they exactly agree with him and support his trade deal? Why did Barack Obama beat Hillary Clinton? Really? Because he disagreed with Iraq. That was the distinguishing issue that set Obama apart from Hillary Clinton. He drove it home, and he was smart to drive it home. What are they going to disagree with Trump on? Of course, the immigration doesn't matter to people in Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Muslim bans doesn't matter to these people in these states. I read the exit polls. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan. Top issue was trade and immigration. They think your cheers when we get new members is better than me screaming. So, we'll update you, but I got news for you. Walker Bragman, a great journalist, pointed this out. Elizabeth Warren, during the debate, talked about supporting this terrible new trade deal. Didn't mention the words Medicare for all, the phrase Medicare for all once. Didn't mention the phrase a Green New Deal once. As she stabs Bernie in the front, yet we have groups coming out saying progressives need to unite. I don't unite with the arsonist that just burned down my house. Thank you for watching. This channel's on a roll. We're moving up a little bit. Finally, we're moving up in subscribers. So definitely share these videos. Please, 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 if you got a couple bucks a month, statuscoup.com/join. We'll have new videos for you in the coming days from Iowa and elsewhere. I'm planning on getting back on the campaign trail, hopefully next week. Might possibly in New Hampshire. I might be going out to Iowa the week of the caucus, so we'll have news for you. But we got to grow our funding. It's that simple. We're at 805 members now. I think it's a great goal by the end of the month to get that number up to... Jen, what do you think? Can we get that number up to 900 by the end of the month? Or is that by the Iowa caucus? Excuse me. Can we get this up to 900 members by the Iowa caucus? What do you think, Jen? I think so. We're shooting for the stars. We need 95 more of you to sign on the bottom line before Iowa. We think it's worth it. Thank you for watching. And remember, most people are not lacking compassion in the United Corporations of America. Most people don't know what's going on because CNN is offering propaganda and the New York Times is offering nonsense and the Washington Post is offering 16 negative stories on Bernie Sanders in a day. Most people do want progressive change. Most people are closet progressives and just don't know it. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.